guys, and welcome back to The Gardener's Life. Today we're going to be talking about growing camellia. But not just any camellia, but a very special type of camellia renowned for its leaves and drunk by millions. That's right, Camellia sinensis, or more commonly known as the tea plants. So let's get started with how to propagate your tea plant. So the first option is to grow your tea plants from seeds. I don't have any whole seeds to show you right now, but I can show you some of the shells. They are very hard shells and they almost look like a little chestnut or some other nut. Now, to propagate these from seeds, you do need to scarify them, which just means you get the seed and you scratch it on the surface, either with some sandpaper or a knife, but you don't do it in a way that actually breaks the seed. It's just to weaken it at a certain point. And then you soak your seed in some water and place it in some soil to grow. So because the seeds do need to be scarified and soaked, they can sometimes be a little bit tricky to propagate. The best time to sow your seeds is mid to late autumn and give them a really moist and warm environment. Now, the downfall from growing them from seeds is they take a really long time to establish. A normal tea plantation site will take 5 to 8 years to get a mature plant that they can harvest from. So your second option is to buy the plant yourself. And there are some places in Australia where you can buy the plant directly from some online resources, and I'll put the links down below. So this is a well-established plant, and I bought this from a local garden that does grow a tea plantation site for mass production of tea. Your third option is to grow it from cuttings, and this is one of the fastest options that you can get besides buying the plants themselves. So this is like you would take any other hardwood cutting. You want a section that has some new growth. So we see here, this is some greeny new growth and it's quite bendable. And ideally have some hardwood on it as well. So a really good shoot for this plant would be something like this. We have some hardwood growth down here, but the top has some softwood growth. To increase your chances of propagation, it is recommended that you use a rooting hormone, and essentially this is you dipping your stem into this hormone to stimulate the stem to grow roots. Yes, roots are just underground stems. So this will increase your chances, and again, keep them moist. They may lose some of the leaves on the cutting while they're re-establishing their roots. Once you start to see some green new growth, then you know that your plant is taking off. So now we're going to take my tea plants. I bought 2 and I have one that I grew from seeds a couple of years ago that's not looking as well as the others, partly my own fault. And we're going to plant them in some pots. To start off with, we have our plastic pots. These are actually storage tubs, and I've punctured some holes down the bottom to allow for drainage. We're going to fill it up with just a thin layer of rocks to help it drain out. And because these containers are clear, I'm going to be lining them with some plastic garbage bags. It's really important that our roots aren't exposed to sunlight because these plants don't like that. Next, I'm going to be filling it with some potting mix to help with that drainage in the bottom layer of our pots. And then I'm going to top up with some compost as it's got a little bit more nutrients for our plant. My pots are prepped for my plants. Now, I did just use compost and a little bit of potting mix in each of these pots. Alternatively, you can buy a camellia mix that's specifically for camellia plants. So it's something like this or similar. I don't really care which brand you get. The added benefit of these camellia mixes is that the soil is generally a little bit acidic, and that's what your camellias really thrive in, something that's slightly acidic, similar to blueberry plants. Having said that, these mixes are generally a little bit more expensive. For one bag of this, it's over $10, while for a bag of compost, it's only about $4. So you're looking at a doubling in how much soil. They do have other added benefits, so they'll usually put some sort of soil wetter as well as some sort of nutrient mix that's high in nitrogen. Alternatively, if you don't want to buy any of these potting mixes, so alternatively you can use stuff like sulfur. This is a granulated formula, so you can spread it over your soil, or you can get a liquid formula that you can, of course, use in your watering can and water your plants. If you're not using a compost and you're just using a potting mix, or you're planting them directly into the soil, you may need to give them some nitrogen to help feed your plant. So the one that I have just sitting around my shed is something like this. This is a slow release. If you are going to use these pellets, do go for the slow release ones, as the other ones can break down really quickly, and that's where you get your nitrogen leaching, and that can go into your waterways and be very nasty. Alternatively, you can just buy compost or any other type of pelleted, well-rotted manure and use that in your plants as well. Do be wary of which type of manure or compost you use, because they can be alkaline. So your mushroom compost is alkaline, and that's not going to benefit your tea plant. So what I might do, because this is compost and it's probably slightly alkaline, if not neutral, I'm just going to add a little bit of this sulfate to mix in and make sure that this is all slightly acidic for my tea plant. What I am going to do is, because this soil is expensive, I am just going to top these pots with them, so about the top 20%, 10 to 20% of your pot. Right to the brim, I'm going to be using a little bit more compost. And now let's plant our tea plants. Up our new tea plants. So in terms of fertilizing, ideally you should be fertilizing in early spring, and you can also buy a Camellia specific fertilizer. You should keep in mind that different altitudes can produce different flavors of tea. So if you live in a higher altitude location, you could get a much nicer tasting tea than somewhere lower altitude. Our local growers in New South Wales, particularly around the Central Coast area, where the teas are such high quality, they generally don't sell locally and they ship them overseas. So why don't give your tea growing a try in your area and see how tasty your tea is. In another video, probably in another year's time for the next season, I'll show you how I pick these tea leaves and dry them to make my own homemade tea. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and help me grow my channel and this community. See you guys! Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more content, please subscribe here. Or if you'd like to watch other videos, click here. See you next time, guys!